I grew up in the Northern California area, so
Okay.
there was a guy named Bob Zucchini. He built the Golden Nugget.
Okay.
And,
I know that car. Okay.
And as a kid, that was the car that kind of inspired me.
Okay, and what was it?
It was a Buick, 57 Buick.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and he also built a bunch of, I loved motorcycles growing up.
Okay.
So he built the American Express and Arlen Ness and
Okay.
Bob, all these guys were like Bob Drone, all the bike builders. I kind of grew up around that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I remember being a kid going to the Grand Oakland Roadster Show, 7, 8, 9 years old, and there was 2 big rooms at the Coliseum, but then there was a tunnel in between. So the tunnel was where all the bikers
Where all the bikes were.
Okay.
Yep.
and all the bike, and it'd be dark and kind of dingy looking in there, and purple lights, right? And as a little kid, I'd be like, God, I love it in this little tunnel with all these dark bikers and
Like an
it was
alien
kinda-
world.
Black
right?
lights.
It was kind of my favorite little area as a little kid. My mom would leave. We'd take Bart, and my mom would leave me there, and I'd be 8, 9 years old by myself.
Yeah.
At the Oakland Coliseum.
Hey, welcome to Car Guy Confessions, brought to you by ARP. I'm Jeff Smith. This is my car buddy Cam Benty and car builder Steve Strope, and we're going to tell you some stories. Welcome to another episode of Car Guy Confessions with Jeff Smith. The special episode. Ron Cameron's with us today at the Grand National Roadster Show. And we want to thank, first of all, our sponsor, ARP-bolts.com. The guys at ARP really help us out. And you can't see, he's invisible right now. Steve is actually here in spirit. Steve will be here with us soon, right? Steve Strope. And then Cam Benty will be with us in upcoming episodes. But for now, it's just you and me, man.
Wow.
So
Thank you for having me. I
you
appreciate
are up
it.
for
Thank you.
Sloniker Award?
No.
Builder of the Year.
We are Builder of the Year.
You are Builder of the Year.
2024.
Okay.
They gave it to us.
And what's involved with that?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, we've been doing this a long time. We've been in business about 20 years.
Okay.
I've been coming to the Grand National Roadster Show since 1968.
Wow,
In Oakland. I've been involved.
It was originally.
I mean, this was always my home away from home.
Okay.
I moved from the Bay Area here in the mid '80s. And
Followed the show?
It followed me here.
It followed you here.
It followed me here. So I always felt like this was my place. You know? But I've been coming in, we've been having our booth here for the last, 10 or 15 years. And we were honored with it last year at our shop. We did a car show in June.
Okay.
And John and Kevin and Laura and everybody came out. And they said we're going to be the builder. And I said, you're kidding me, really? So
that's quite an honor.
It is huge for us. It's big.
Yeah.
It's a big honor. But I always look at it, I go, it's not me. It's never been a me thing. It's our shop.
Yeah.
How many guys?
How many guys?
We have a total of about 14 guys working for us.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're like our own car club, our own car club and family. And so we do everything together. We do car shows together.
It almost has to be, doesn't it?
It's the way it is for us.
Because car building is not, it's not like the TV shows.
Right.
Not like that at all.
No.
That's
we're the
that's
real McCoy.
Hollywood.
Let me tell you, we have our painters, Hitoshi and Osmar. These guys are fantastic talent. It's crazy. I have Rick Kirsch, who's he's been with me since day one. And when I met him, he was always driving his hot rod around, and he was always smashing it. And next week, the week later, I'd see it would be fixed. And I go, dude, are you a metal guy? Oh, no, I'm a sign painter. I go, you need to come work for us. And he became our metal guy.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
He's great. And Steve Garcia's with us now. And then I got the tech, Dave P. and Bo, and my daughter's boyfriend Ian is working for us, assembling all this stuff and building stuff. And it's just, we got great talent. Great guys, great family, no attitude, no egos. We're just all one cool thing.
And that's hard to do. That's hard to do. So you have to, as owner and manager, because I was editor for Hot Rod for 6 years in magazines and stuff, and managing people is not easy.
No.
It's really hard. But at the same time, it isn't if you treat the people the way they expect to be treated, but also the way you would like to be treated.
Exactly.
And then you give them, I'm sure you do this. I don't know, but I'm sure that you do, that you give them all the credit.
Oh, absolutely, all the time.
Because they only want...
They're the guys.
Media wants to come to you and make you the hero, and it's they're the ones that did the work, and you're just kind of making sure the ship gets pointed in the right direction,
absolutely.
And the sales are full, and life is good, and everybody's fed, and everybody's happy.
And they have work to come back in on Monday.
Yeah,
and there's going to be jobs there for them and everything else.
And they're enthusiastic about it, too.
When the passion is driven... you don't really have to worry about a lot of that because they're so passionate and so artistic about their work. You really don't have to push it much. You just got to say, do I like it or not, kind of a thing. Oh, I don't really like that. Let's try something different. And then they move on and try something different, So it's passion-driven company for us.
That's so much fun. It has to be fun.
Yeah, we have a great time.
Because it's not easy.
Yeah, we work 4-10s, Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
10-hour days, and everybody goes home Thursday night, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Don't think about this place. Let's meet up on Monday again.
Okay.
And we'll do it again.
Yeah, yeah. So even when the shows get close, it's still that way? Or
they're all here. They do shows with us, but
Okay.
we try to only pick a few big shows.
Okay.
This is one of them.
Okay.
Obviously, John Buck's show is one of our best shows that we
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
And it's more in my heart because I've grown up around this thing as a kid, right?
Right, right.
So I always tell John, I feel like I've been a part of this show since I was a kid, you know?
It's like you're coming to visit your
I
uncle,
come to visit
right?
my
Yeah,
own.
yeah.
I remember even when I met my wife, and we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, and we'd go to Oakland, and I'd walk, we'd go there for 2-3 days, and I'd see the same cars over and over for 2 or 3 days. She goes, man, how many times can you see these cars? And I said, you know what? Let's just sit up there in the balcony and stare at these things for a few hours.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to take that in. If anybody ever been to the Grand National Roadster Show at the Oakland Coliseum, if you know what it feels like to be in that room.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you say your daughter has a dragster?
My daughter has a Super Pro dragster,
Okay.
rear engine car. She's been racing juniors since she was about 7, 8.
Wow.
And kind of got out of it when she was 13, and she hit me up when she was 18, and she said, Dad, I'd like to build another car. So we built her a Super Pro, kind of a super comp dragster.
Okay. Yeah.
And we're learning so much from it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we've been having fun with that. Matter of
That's
fact,
highly competitive.
it's
highly
when you run
competitive.
super comp, it's a whole new thing. And these
Yeah.
guys are, man,
And
they
how
got
fast? How fast? 100 and-
She's she runs 8.0s all
Okay,
day long,
yeah.
and 165 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody wants to go faster in the
Yeah,
lights, right?
yeah.
It's all about closing speed,
Yeah,
right?
it's all about that reaction time.
Yep, yep.
And you're playing with your box, and you're playing with your numbers, and
Yep,
you
yep.
don't want the other one to know. what
And
you're
how much
doing.
wind? How much wind do we have?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all,
yeah.
all the other factors,
Yeah.
all the other what's going on in the weather.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's crazy. The weather. Yeah, you gotta have your weather station.
So you help her with the car?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I help her. And her boyfriend helps her
Okay.
a lot too. Ian, he helps us a lot with it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a drag boat racer, and he kind of helps us with the tuning to the car and the carburetor, running the valves, and I could do all that stuff too. But I'm one guy trying to do everything for her.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
I bring
yeah.
her out. I stage her. I set her up.
Okay.
Actually, she's at the point now she don't even need to be staged. She
Okay.
just does her own thing. Now. But, yeah, it's a kid. But we're doing family stuff, which is the best thing out of all of it. You know,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
spending family time together. We go
Exactly.
every weekend. We're going next week testing. The weekend after, we're going to Vegas to go run. And we do car shows together. We do everything together. It's,
Yeah.
it's all about the family thing
Yeah,
for us.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Great
So
times.
you've got a car here too. You've got a Kustoms, right?
I have a CUDA in the street machine room in Building 9
Okay.
that we built. It's got a Hemi in it, big tire car. I have a Merc that we built for a client of mine that's up by the stage. That
Okay.
old Merc.
Okay.
That 51 we built. And in our booth, I have 2 Novas. I have a 67 and a 70 Nova that we built.
Okay.
And a 56 Volkswagen Bug that we
Okay.
built. It's in there. And then my daughter, she bought a new jet ski, so we painted it, and that's on display because
Okay.
of the paint job.
Uh-huh.
And then we built a really cool little. I've always been into bicycles as a kid, and I was
Uh-huh.
building bicycles for the Oakland Road. So I took some of the parts that I had from when I was a kid, and we built a lowrider bike here to give away on Sunday
Okay.
to our painter's son. He doesn't know, so he can't see this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
how cool.
on Sunday, we're going to give it to him, this little lowrider bike that we
Okay.
built that's in our
Yeah.
booth. Yeah. So we're
And give
pretty
it to him.
stoked. We're going to give it to him.
In front of all the people.
Everybody,
right?
yeah.
That's gonna be. That's really cool.
We're going
Yeah.
to give it to him.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
So, in terms of building cars, what's the biggest challenge for you as a because you build the entire car?
Well,
You don't just
we
do-
buy chassis from
Okay.
Roadster Shop. We always use Roadster Shop for the base.
Okay.
And then we always have to talk to the customer and say, okay, what are you looking for? Most of these guys are looking to either build a dream they wish they had when they were a kid,
Right, when they were in
and
high
had the
school.
money today.
Right.
That's one thing. Or some guys just like to keep building different cars because they love everything in the
Sure.
world, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's just trying to get in their head of what they're looking for,
Okay.
and try to stay focused with that, and not try to build a car for me.
Okay.
I'm not into building these cars for myself. It's not a me thing. It's building cars for the client. So
Okay.
I look at the client. I said, what do you really want to do with this, and what is your budget, and how do you want to drive it? Do you want to drive it? Is it going to go in a trailer? Are you going to show this thing all over? Or are you
Or are you going to put 1,000 miles on it?
Exactly.
A week.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we kind
yeah.
of look at that, and I kind of say, okay, we got to look at if something's going to be a driver, let's keep the motor kind of tame and calm.
Right.
And then obviously we're not going to slam this thing on the ground. It's going to be more of a little driver.
It's got
fun.
to have ground clearance.
We
Yeah.
get a little bit of everything. We get guys that want to restore cars. We get guys that want a show car. We get guys that want a race car.
Uh-huh.
We get guys that want to build a muscle car. They want to drive it and go on a course. And churn this thing into all.
So it's a little bit of everything.
We get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So we got to just make sure that we do the right thing for the client. And when the client gets the car at the end, the customer, that it's exactly what he wanted. You know, I'm not going to pick the color. You're going to pick the color. If they want to do something kind of funky, I would try to just
kind of steer them.
I would just try to steer them in the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we try to keep it focused for the customer.
Yeah. So, do you hire your own customers? I mean, you know, because I've talked to builders. It's like, you know, I'm halfway through this thing, and the builders, you know, the owner's driving me crazy. He's, you know, because he keeps changing his mind and everything else. So you just kind of pick and choose, you know, with the customer.
You know, we have a great clientele. We've never really advertised. Most of our clientele is repeat builds.
Okay.
So, and most of them, we talk about it before we do the build. We try to communicate with all that, what we want to do before we get into it. Sometimes we'll get a rendering made of the vehicle, and we try to stay focused. If they decide they want to go a little sideways on wheels or a color, that's not a big deal to me. It's where the money really spent in building the chassis and the car and all the fab work and everything. If you put all this money into doing all this fab work, and he wants to make it a right side driver or something kind of crazy.
Yeah, okay.
I've never had that. I never had that problem where they really went sideways on me like that. And money wise, we're all usually up front on how much it's going to take to do the build. You know, on the build.
There's a lot of people who don't understand how much is involved in it, because so much of what you do is labor intensive, right?
It's half and half. If you're going to build a $500,000 car, it's $250,000 in labor and $250 in parts. It's half and half.
Just because of all the time involved. So like the CUDA, how long does something like that take to build?
That CUDA, it's a funny story. That CUDA, he brought an original CUDA to me. It was a low mileage car, about 60,000 miles on this thing. It was yellow, vinyl top. It's a cool car, nice car, family car. He found it in a mobile home park up in Sacramento. And he came to me and he goes, I want to build this thing, but I don't want to go too crazy. And it ended up being a big tire car, a Hemi in it, supercharged, retuned to 1,000 horsepower, black leather interior.
But I don't want to go crazy.
Electric
with
windows, vintage air, all this crazy stuff.
Unload all the parts.
And I said, cool, whatever, we could do it. It's not a problem. Excuse me.
Yeah. So anyone that kind of tugs at you a little bit, like you finish the car and then it's like, I don't want to sell it. I don't want to let this go.
I love the build, and I love to see him go. It's like a child, right?
Yep.
You raise them,
push them out of the nest. Right?
You raise them, and then it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my favorite. I love the process and the camaraderie of all of us guys together putting this thing together. And then when it's time to see it go bye-bye, it's good. It's ready. I'm ready. Move on to the next
Move
thing.
on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So how many cars have you guys built so far?
We probably have built, I'm just going to say probably 30, 40 cars.
Wow.
Yeah, in the 20 years we've been doing this.
Wow. That'd be a great car show, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we built a lot of cars. We brought in, just this last year, we built 4 new cars. This year.
Wow.
Our plan for this year, 2024, is to probably come out with 5 new cars.
Wow.
In 1 year.
So that's like a car every
we're not
2.5 months?
We're not building the $3 million cars. We're building, $300,000 cars, $250,000 cars.
Still pretty,
which is great for us because it's, again, that's what we like to do. We're not
and the business side of that, how does that work? Is it difficult to manage that? Because I would think that there's like a cash flow issue, right?
I collect parts up front, and I bill every Friday for labor. I get paid by every Monday. I'm paid.
Okay. That's
every
good.
Monday.
That's good.
I'm on it. All my clients pay me by Monday, and everybody's current. I've only had maybe in the 20 years maybe 2 incidents of people really had a hard time.
And that's probably a result of you choosing the right client, too, right?
Yeah.
Because I've heard the horror stories, right?
No.
I'm 2/3 of the way through this project, and the owner just says, "I don't have any more money. I'm done. I'm gone." Right?
Yeah.
I've heard those stories.
That's
got to be just debilitating.
No, we stay really current. I stay current on all that stuff.
Yeah.
My daughter's a big help. My Sophie, she helps me in the office. She does HR. She does receivables, accounts payables, and receivables.
Yeah.
She helps me with all that stuff, and she's a big help in the office.
Cool.
But I do the invoices because most people don't understand the invoice thing of it, and when they look at the hourly forms and how much we got into a vehicle, You know, if there's 10 hours involved in something and I feel there's only should be 5, I'll delete the 5. I'll question my guy, why do we have 10? And he'll tell me why, and I'll just build a 5 usually, you know, or something like that. You know? You got to keep it straight.
Right.
I think that's why we have a really good reputation of these builds anyway through all these years, and the same customers over and over.
So, any particular big challenge that you've run into? It has to have happened.
Rent.
Okay.
Rent. Let me tell you, we started in one unit of about 2,000 square feet 20 years ago. We got another unit. We got another unit. We got another unit. We were in like 8,000 square feet in one building.
Yeah.
I had the body shop and another 4,000 at that end, which is the dust problem. And then I got another 4,000 in front of our shop. And the rent has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And I should have been smart enough when I was younger. You know, I'm kind of an older guy in this kind of industry. I started late on this deal, you know, even though I've been involved since I was 14 or so. But I was going to tell the guys, the younger generation, if you're doing this thing, plan on finding a building somewhere and start with your own property.
Start with your own property.
Because
you're paying yourself.
You're leveraged.
Yeah.
You're leveraged at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you're paying this guy, my rent went $16,000 to $20,000 a month for rent. It's nuts. You should own your own building. So the smart guys, I'm sure, you know, either that moved on their own property, built their own shops, or bought buildings. And I'm still renting.
And tough in Southern California besides, right?
Yeah, it's probably why it's nice to move to Tennessee or something like that. My wife won't move to Tennessee.
Or Iowa. That's where I moved.
Iowa. We should be going to Iowa.
It was so funny. I wanted to add on to my shop. You know, I had a 50 by 30 shop when I bought the place, and the next door, the guy 2 doors down is the mayor, right? Neighbor. So he drives by one day and we stopped and talked for a few minutes. So I said, I'm going to add on this, 40 by 48 onto my shop. Do I need any kind of permit? And he goes, for what?
That's nice.
I can't cross the street in Los Angeles without asking, somebody asking me for a permit and wanting money. And I said, you don't care? And he goes, no, you're raising the property value of this whole town because it's a town of 90 people.
Wow.
Yeah, I live out in the boonies.
That's great. That's great.
It's great. I mean, because then it's far more open and you can do what you want.
That's nice.
Just do what you want.
We live in a little town in Orange, Old Town. It's an old historical area. We live there, but it's nice because we know everybody in our little town.
Yeah.
You know, if you have any issues, you just, but it's been nice to live on 10 acres of property somewhere and a bunch of trees and a little river in your backyard.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. That would be perfect. That'd be perfect. Yeah. So how'd you get started in this thing? What got you going in the business?
It's probably the same thing that everybody's going to tell you. Those damn Hot Wheels, right? The darn Hot Wheels as a little kid. When you saw that little Hot Wheel and you saw that little red pinstripe tire, that's what I was like, it clicked.
Yeah, okay.
I've been involved. My whole family's musicians, and I grew up playing music, and my brothers and my father.
What'd you play?
I'm a drummer. I've been playing since I was 5.
Excellent.
But I never went the rock star way. I always went to getting a job and working.
So your life ended up positive rather than just this disaster that you...
Exactly. But I was always loved playing my drums. But when I saw that little Hot Wheel, I started, I got to build. I started building bicycles and I built some motorcycles and started building cars. I was just always tinkering on motors. And just that's how I got into it. I just loved them as a kid. You know? Models, models.
Sure.
How many models we built as a kid, right?
Yeah.
All the great models. And I remember building models. My bedroom would be like my shop. It'd have a million cars all unfinished and all over bodies sitting on tires and this and that as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then
Hey, we'd like to thank our sponsor, ARP-bolts.com. We got a fantastic little backdrop here. They make an outstanding series of bolts, almost anything you would need for engines, chassis, things like that. In fact, we were at lunch today, and a guy asked you about the bolt on the back of your shirt, and and I said, well, it's really about a head bolt. They neck the stem down of the bolt on a small block Chevy head bolt, so the clamp load is even across 3 different head bolt lengths on a small block Chevy. And, so that's the kind of technology that you get out of ARP. And we've all got stories on all that stuff.
For a translation of what he said, call ARPbolts.com.
but the message is that you can't get any better than that.
No, you cannot.
There you go.
Nope. Excellent.
And then just check them out at ARP-bolts.com. We'd like to thank our friends at InTheGarageMedia.com. They have 3 fantastic magazines. They've got Classic Truck Performance, they have Modern Rotting, and my favorite, All Chevy Performance with Nick, my buddy Nick, is the editor.
Biased.
So,
Correct.
yes, of course.
Yes.
But they're doing print media, which is, of course, our favorite. So,
Tangible
color and
magazine.
everything.
in color and everything, and you can get your car on the cover of one of those books, which is
Right.
a fun
that's a
deal.
lot.
Great tech,
Great
written
tech.
by you
know,
and others
not always
that are
written by me, but yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
always written by me.
That's right.
Just
So
pick it
check
up and
them out
read it.
at InTheGarageMedia.com, and they're our friends, and they will thank you.
Maybe. I need to do. Look, no, really.
Something you need to do?
Yeah, I'm going to stand
Okay.
and go. Congratulations
Oh,
on
God.
Builder of the Year.
Okay.
Steve, thank
Most
you.
most deserved. And
Thank you,
very,
man.
very proud.
Thank you.
And so,
brother.
so I needed to do
Thank
that
you.
properly. I'm just not going to reach over Jeff and go, here, man. Probably, maybe. That's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
So, congratulations. I didn't mean to interrupt the
thank you,
nostalgia,
Steve.
but I haven't been able to say congratulations. So, wanted to make sure that was done properly.
Okay.
We've been working hard at this whole thing for years. He's kicking ass. This guy kicks butt. I know he does. I've been watching him for all these years going, I know this dude. I know this dude.
I know
him for a
this
long
idiot.
time.
And how's he doing that?
You know, SEMA, all his awards through Ford and everything. He just
Yeah.
done it.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got.
And he's
I've-
got the greatest clientele in the world, right?
I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by great people
Yeah.
that do great work, and it sounds like a joke, but put up with me, and all my whatever it is, and we got to do this and that, So I've got, as you know, you're only as good as the people that you've surrounded yourself with. So
That we were just talking about before you got here, yeah.
I'm so fortunate for like Mick Jenkins on paint and Gabe's on interior and all the different artists I've worked with. Steve Stanford, of course, another Orange County boy, right?
Yep.
And then Tavis and Brockmeyer, and then my guys, and I've got guys that have been with me 19 years.
I was about to say 20. So
yeah,
that's
going
very
on.
close. Yeah.
So that's you can be the greatest general in the world, and without all the fighting
troops.
soldiers to do it,
Yep.
You're
Exactly
good
right.
luck.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and I'm sure it's the same in your under your tent. You've got people that you trust that do good work.
There
and
was no way in the
turn it
world I
out.
can do this by myself. There's
Right.
no way.
Yeah. It's
way.
definitely the whole. You need the whole circus,
It's like
including the
Not
clowns.
just the monkeys and the
Yeah,
clowns.
that's right. You do, and it is magic when you can take your scatterbrained idea, and through all these people's individual talents working as a group, turn out something that is successful and receives accolades and what have you. And it, this weekend really. And I don't know about you or your background or why my chair appears to be glued to the floor. It's so humbling for me and even more eye-opening because it's here in front of me and not just in my memories, but down in Building 9, the Street Machine building with all the Pro Street stuff.
Yeah.
And as I've said on recording other stuff when we were with Rod, they are literally my heroes when I was back in Appalachian before I ever moved here.
Matt
Sully
Devies,
and all those
Rick
guys.
Silverton.
But what's amazing to me is I look at Matt's Thunderbird and Rick's J2000.
Way over the top.
And
Still
those
is.
were built at home
Yeah.
by them.
I know.
Yeah.
Matt, which I'm sure he'll talk about it, and it'll be a completely different thing you'll have to watch. But Matt was telling me, Matt Hay, that when he was bending up tin for that car, he had no brake, right? He's at home. He puts the aluminum under his garage door, close the garage door, and then bend the aluminum. And that, you know what that is? That's somebody wanting to bad enough.
Yep.
And when I was
I
building,
don't have the tool, but I'm going to get it done.
when I
anyway.
was building my Charger in that parking garage at my apartment, I wanted to, but believe me, I had everybody going more than normal. Usually I get the whack job thing, but more than normal. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, building the car. So, you wanted to bad enough. And those guys we're doing stuff that was at right now. It's at epic proportion.
yeah,
you go look at
absolutely.
that J2000 and it's mind scattering.
Stainless frame.
Not
cage.
cage, the whole
The whole
chassis.
thing's all stainless.
He sent me a picture that his
And go
wife
look.
took.
There's not one
it's beautiful.
bubble in the welds. Are all smooth. It's unbelievable.
So he ground it all down, polished it, and after about a day and a half of doing it straight through to get it finished, his wife took a picture of him. He looked like somebody from the moon, like an alien. He was just whacked out. His eyes were this big, and he was just like, just got to get it done.
It's just incredible that they're at home doing that.
And then when he finishes that card, he's going to build this thing to go around the world.
Oh, yeah,
the
the
tank thing.
Earth orbiter. No,
the orbiter, whatever.
Surface orbiter.
Yeah.
Surface orbiter.
He's going to go in the ocean.
I
He's
heard
going to
that-
go all over the world with this thing, right?
I heard the dog left, though. They got up on a beach and the dog left.
His deal was that he wanted to circumnavigate the globe with this amphibious vehicle.
Yeah.
And he told me the story. It's just, and the crazy part about it is I have to
All of
cross
it?
One part of the crazy part was crossing the North Sea in the winter. And it's like, Rick, you're not going to survive that. You're just not going to. No. And he goes, no. This thing is, and the best part about this is the engineering that went into that. And the J2000 too, but even more so than the surface orbiter. I guess we'll have to take a picture, show a
the
picture for people who knows
craziest
what it
thing.
is. It's made out of a stainless steel milk
Like
tank.
you see a milk truck going down the road.
Yeah, but it's powered, and he designed it and built it all himself. He's not an engineer. Just amazing
So
stuff.
what I am thankful for about that, though, and when we do the interview with him, I'm going to thank him. Anytime any wife or girlfriend thinks you're nuts, go, see this guy?
No.
This guy took a
This
milk
guy's Looney
truck
Tunes.
tank and put wheels in it and floated across the ocean and wanted to go around the world.
So repeat this story. Have you heard the story of
So
how
I'm
that
not
started?
so bad.
Yeah. Have you heard the story of how that started?
No, that one I don't know.
Here's how it started. Took the
Dare I
J2000
wanna
down to
know.
Australia, right? Because for their Street Machine Nationals,
Okay,
in
so
our
he takes
winter,
it to
their summer,
Australia.
Takes it down there, and it's it's a big hit and everything. And they're just goofing around. He and his wife. She's got a little VHS recorder going, and he's goofing around with a kangaroo. You ever heard him talk about boxing kangaroos?
No, I missed that.
Because if you know Rick, he'll mess with you, right? So
Okay.
he's jacking around this kangaroo, kind of just boom like this,
Kangaroo hits him good.
down out for the lights, right? His wife videotapes this whole thing. They took it to ABC's funniest videos, won the whole thing. That's where the money came from.
Wow.
To finance the surface orbit.
Wow.
That's where it came from.
Now let's review. You build
I
yourself.
hope that story's true. We're going to get Rick on here.
You
and
build
he'll say,
yourself the
"No,
most
that's not at all
incredible
how it
street
works."
machine that has ever been seen by human eyes. You go to Australia with it. You fight a kangaroo. And
Then you come home and build
from
a
that video, you get applause and take the money from that and go, I'm going to build a milk tank that goes around the world.
That's amphibious.
All right.
In water and all.
Just
And
checking
and
that
and
I got that right.
I saw the photos of this, so I know this is true. Took it through the Panama Canal.
Oh, he did?
Oh, the love of Christ.
He,
you guys.
he finished. He actually finished.
Oh
that.
yeah, it's completely functional.
I'm telling you,
It was in
I
Car
was
and Driver.
told.
It was in Car and Driver.
Maybe you know or not,
did
but
a
I
one-page story.
either remember or hearing the stories that he came up, one of the times he came up on land somewhere, he opened up,
I think it
and the
was
dog got out, and the dog left.
I haven't heard that story.
I hope that's true. I really hope down to my soul that they opened the door and the dog went, I'm out.
You'll have to watch the one that we do with Rick because it's liable to be insane. Because
Insane.
there's so many stories.
Well, even before that is Nova.
The Nova was the
Insane.
preeminent vehicle. That's
Right.
what got him started, and then the J2000 after that, and then he's doing stuff right now. So we don't want to spin off on that
Yeah,
because we want
that's
to
right.
save that stuff. But yeah, I mean, all those guys, they were
They all
doing all that
influenced
stuff.
us, man.
Yeah.
Growing up,
Oh, yeah, no
I mean,
doubt.
Like Scott Sullivan, all these dudes, they influenced us growing
Sure.
up. When I remember seeing Scott
Through
Sullivan
his pages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
through your pages.
He brought it to us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm standing there at the mailbox waiting for my new hot rodding. Gimme. I've got nothing to do. I'm bored. I'm in the sticks.
Yeah, your
Throwing
nose,
hay
your
bales.
nose is pressed up against the glass.
Heck
right?
yeah, man. I couldn't wait for my new issue because it was my connection. Because I can tell you there's not a lot of hot rodding going on in Appalachia, New York, and at all, ever. And it was and I'm sure with you, it was our way to connect to what was going on and what the vibe was and what was new and what was hip and what was cool. And the pages took what was obviously like that car stands on its own. It never needed to be in a magazine. It's insanity. But when you're looking and you're reading and you're looking at photos of it, it's like, it's superstar. and same with Scotty.
Yeah.
And Matt and Debbie and all that, and Mark Grimes and Dobbert and everybody.
All those guys.
So, you made them, actually their hard work made them the superstar, but you were a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You took what was done and gave it to us to
Our
look
job
at.
was easy. Building the car was hard. Our job was just easy. Just take a few pictures
But
and make them out to be.
You brought it. You put it in front of everybody in the world.
Yeah,
which
exactly. So was there a car?
we would have never known.
Yeah.
So me and him, that's your fault. So,
So was the car when you were growing up? Was there one car that like really influenced you?
Well, I grew up in the Northern California area, so
Okay.
there was a guy named Bob Zucchini. He built the Golden Nugget.
Okay.
And,
I know that car. Okay.
And
Yep.
as a kid, that was the car that kind of inspired me.
Okay. And what was it?
It was a Buick,
A
57
Buick.
Buick.
Okay.
Yeah, and he also built a bunch. I loved motorcycles growing up.
Okay.
So he built the American Express and Arlen Ness and
Okay.
Bob, all these guys were like Bob Drone, all the bike builders. I kind of grew up around that.
Okay.
And I remember being a kid going to the Grand Oakland Roadster Show, 7, 8, 9 years old, and there was 2 big rooms at the Coliseum, but then there was a tunnel in between. So the tunnel was where all the bikers.
Where all the bikes were.
Okay.
Yep.
And all the bike, and it'd be dark and kind of dingy looking in there, and purple lights, right? And as a little kid, I'd be like, God, I love it in this little tunnel with all these dark bikers and
Like an
it was
alien
kind of-
world.
Black
right?
lights.
It was kind of my favorite little area as a little kid. My mom would we'd take Bart, and my mom would leave me there, and I'd be 8, 9 years old by myself.
Yeah.
At the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah. Amazing. So you have a real broad background of vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times you talk to people, I'm one of them, that just single focused on a certain thing and then span it out later. But it sounds like yours was the other way around. It was like the whole world and then just kind of narrowed in a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you
I
probably
couldn't
get a lot of-
imagine being like him being out in the boonies and not being able to see all this
Yeah,
stuff.
there was nothing. There,
Nothing to
you
see,
didn't have it.
right?
No, there was
Nothing
nothing
to
to see. I had, so luckily for me, and I could tell you how much impact it made. When I was in 6th grade, I went to a really small school. So like the 9 kids in 9th grade became the 9 kids in 10th grade next year, right? And in 6th grade, there was this senior named Jim, and he had oddly enough, I remember this from school, nothing else, but he had a triple black 68 Roadrunner 440 4-speed car on aluminum slots. And it sounded gnarly, and it looked, not to sound like a kid, but it looked tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I mean?
Fast.
And fast.
Right.
And so the little parking lot for the school, again, very small school, was up here. And then down around the side of the building over here on the sidewalk is where the bus would pick us up, right? And I would almost miss the bus every day because I just wanted to hear him fire it up and watch him drive away.
Yeah.
Because he'd shift pretty aggressively leaving. And one day he took me for a ride in it and power shifted.
How old were you?
12, 13.
Okay. Wow.
And power shifted through it. And
Yeah.
the whole back end of the car, going out. And I went, oh, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
So,
and you were ruined. You were ruined at that point.
Ruined.
Yeah.
And then my cousin Donnie also had a 74 Camaro. And of course, in upstate New York, at any time, normally you got, winter tires on it.
Yeah.
And it's just this black Camaro. But in the summer,
Yeah, it was badass, right?
air shocks,
Yep.
Indy SS profile tires,
Yep.
chrome craggers, side pipes, and it was a stick car, believe it
Okay.
or not. It was
4-speed?
a 4-speed car, and the air jacker, the air shocks, and he had that bunny sticker
right.
in the back window for
Gabriel
hijackers,
hijackers. Yep.
and Lakewood for the traction bars.
Traction bars, which
And
you had to have.
From my grandma's house, you're looking at my uncle's house, and Donnie's car would be parking there, and I'd walk there, and I would literally just stand in the field and just look at it.
Yeah.
Just look at it. And
I think that's
also,
every high school kid. Like if you're in junior high school, there's always in my case, there was I was probably 8th, 9th grade, walking to class. But early in the morning, this guy would go pick up his girlfriend. He had a jacked up '55 Chevy.
Sure.
Right. Back then, that was the gas look was everything, right? And I would just wait by the window at my mom's house and watch him drive past our house to go pick up his girlfriend. And it was like,
so cool.
yeah.
So tough.
Yeah.
I had an older brother that was in the car, so he always had hot rods and stuff.
No, see, you're lucky.
Yeah, he had a '65 Chevelle. I remember all raised up in the front with steelies and dish wheels in the back. You know, growing up, and I used to sit by that little car and go, God, I love it. love it.
Right?
And
Yeah.
that's the influence. And hopefully,
Oh, yeah.
whatever people are doing today is going to influence the young kids of the
Yeah,
future. And
it's.
it won't all be electric cars.
I can only hope.
Internal combustion will survive somehow, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
The party trick of just being super quick till your battery runs out is not very visceral. Mm-hmm. It's not visceral.
they don't have the soul of an internal
Well,
combustion
and it's it's fun to be frightened. When I drive, there's a car I brought, the Martini Mustang, which we built a while ago, like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That car has a brand new owner, and he is very familiar, owns a lot of incredibly amazing vintage race cars, road race cars, with like real serious provenance, and they are fast. And so he took it out for the first time and got on it because it's got an IndyCar motor in it.
It's got an IndyCar motor in it.
And it was so cool to hear him, who owns many amazingly very fast cars, and he goes, the two things I love, which I agree of, is that car wants you to, the old term of grab it by the scruff. It does not want to be coddled.
Right,
It is aggressive,
Yeah.
and it is visceral, and it wants to hurt you and everything else. And if you don't drive it that way, it's worse.
Right,
It's
yeah.
it's angry about it.
Right.
And every time I've driven the car, you get out of your adrenaline's going when you get out of the car because you're paying attention. It's very loud. There's no sound deadening in it.
Right,
and
right.
The transmission's an illegal NASCAR tranny that's straight cut
noise.
gears and
Yeah,
bam, bam.
yeah.
And so it's very visceral and it's emotional.
Yeah.
You get out and you're like, God, and this guy said the same thing, and he owns plenty of these cars, and he's like, wow, that thing's like, you're paying attention and you're driving it and you're focusing on what you're doing, just going down the highway. And that kind of thing, I think, needs to be a ride at every amusement park for every child.
Yeah, anybody.
You're just getting this.
Yeah.
And we'll see if you like it
You
or
need
not.
to take more young kids for a ride in it,
Oh, yeah.
and they'll probably be into it. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
There'll be a couple that'll be like, I don't get it, or that's not for me. But there's
Right,
going to be
right.
others going, oh, I want to do that. Let's go around again. Go around again.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and that's what I got with that senior.
Yeah.
When he took me for that ride, one ride.
Yeah.
And power shifted it in the back end brake. You both know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure so do a couple of you. and you get in that and you're like, oh, I need that. That's a drug.
Yeah.
Because it's adrenaline and it's endorphin. It's everything. It's
exactly.
visceral.
Well,
And that gets in your.
Yep. On that high, we're going to cut this off.
No, we got to talk about his show. Oh, you already talked about his show.
We already did.
We're good.
We got to make sure he has
We're
his,
good.
his
We're
time.
good. We're good. We did it all, man.
Congratulations
Thank
on being
you.
builder
Yeah,
of the year.
congratulations
Thanks for
again.
coming down here and
Well
visiting
done.
with us. It's
Oh,
been a great day.
Wait, do we got 2 seconds? Do we got 2 seconds?
Sure.
2 seconds.
Oh, God. I'm so ignoring you. What's coming down the pike? What can we see coming up?
Yes.
We have
Because I need to know what not to build.
You know what's right now? What's hot is truck.
That was good.
Thank you.
Trucks are
That was
very
very
big
good.
right now.
Yeah.
Trucks are hot.
Oh, yeah.
I got right now probably 10 trucks in my shop right now that we're building.
Really?
C10s and 56 F100.
Yeah.
Chevy trucks. I got a couple.
One of them coming next year.
I got probably
75th anniversary next year.
I have probably about
Grand
4
National.
new ones next year coming.
Okay.
How many?
Yeah, 4.
Well, good for you.
I got a question because I know you and I have the same problem.
Now I need a question.
Because I'm legally blind. And I know poor Steve has gone through the same damn thing. It's like, who are you kind of thing. So,
Hot rods by Braille.
no, I want to say, how do you judge by Braille?
No, that was the question. That's right.
Well, how am I judging?
How do you judge by Braille?
Oh, that's fair. And cruel.
I'm legally blind, and everybody goes, how do you see the scratch? I go, well, I've got to put my prosthetic lenses in, and I can see everything. But if you take them out, I can't see anything. I'm blind as a bat.
I'll remember that.
All right. This could go on for another hour, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we want to thank arp.bolts-bolts.com,
that be more
our
difficult?
friends at ARP. And we also want to thank John Buck and Kevin for helping us with the Grand National Roadster Show. That's where we are right now.
Yep.
Thanks again for coming. This is a great time.
And congratulations to you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you again.
absolutely.
Appreciate
And
it, man.
if you like the stories we're telling you, keep with us because we'll just tell you a lot more.
Awesome.